On the lead up to the release of Gundam Breaker 4, I've got a couple of videos planned relating to the Gundam Breaker franchise, and today we're kicking that off with a review of Gundam Breaker Battlogue, which has just made its way back onto the Gundam Info channel. Before I dive into my thoughts though, I want to hear from you guys, so head on down to the comment section below and let me know what you think of Gundam Breaker Battlogue if you've seen it. If you haven't, it is available on the Gundam Info channel for free, so you can go watch it over there right now if you want to. As per usual though, please do leave a like on this video and subscribe if you are a fan of mecha anime content and want to see plenty more videos like this in the future. Let me start things off by saying that I am fully aware this is intended to be a promotional video for Gundam Breaker, for the likes of Gundam Breaker Mobile, of course the Gunpla kits for Gundam Breaker Battlogue, and I guess just Gunpla in general. It's made to sell the Gundam franchise. With that said though, let's dive into the things that I really liked about this. First off, the animation and action sequences are surprisingly impressive, and I am talking like this is high quality Gundam animation. When you think of, modern day, like pretty good looking Gundam animation, you think of something like Iron Blooded Orphans, for example, or Gundam Unicorn, or, things along those lines, and of course, most recently, The Witch from Mercury. You think of the style of those, you think of the visual style and the visual quality of those, and that carries over to this. And like I said, this is a glorified promotional video, but my god, there is budget in this, there is really damn good animation and very exciting action sequences. The mobile suits all look fantastic, they move really well, and probably the best part of it is that these are not CGI mechs. This is the traditional 2D look, what we've seen, for the most part from Witch from Mercury, though there was some 3D animation used in there. But when I look at this, from what I could tell upon like a first watch, there was like no 3D animation. This was all high quality 2D. This is like a prime example of the style that I always want out of it. One of the things I've always appreciated most about the Gunpla based stuff within the Gundam franchise, so like the Gundam build parts of things, and also the Gundam Breaker stuff as well, is the creativity that goes into the mobile suits and designing them and kind of taking elements of certain ones, combining them together, but also putting their own spin on things as well. A great example of how cool this idea is comes from a ground type Gundam flying on the back of a transformed Wing Zero, which is combining the 8th MS team with Gundam Wing. It's the kind of thing that when you're playing with your action figures you would envision as a kid, where you're combining things from different franchises or parts of like the same franchise that never really cross over, but it does that with a budget, with, high quality animation, with the visuals to go behind it. It almost just feels like, when you're a kid and you think about this stuff and you think, I would love if this was a real thing one day. Well, that's kind of what this is, and it's really awesome to see. It kind of ignites that spark of creative imagination, that kid-like enthusiasm in you, and I love to see it. Battlogue is also packed with a lot of Gundam fan service and deep cut references, which for the most part I didn't understand. I'm relatively new to the Gundam franchise in terms of how much I've watched, but I did a little bit of research, looked in the comment sections and such, and there were a lot of people saying actually one of the AI pilots that features in this is the protagonist of a Mobile Suit Gundam side story called Blue Destiny. And to me that is just cool, taking a reference like that, throwing it in here, and it doesn't necessarily require like high amounts of knowledge to be able to kind of understand and just appreciate on a like a surface level of what you're watching, because you just look at it and think, okay, it's just an AI pilot in this mobile suit. But when you're a big fan and when you kind of know the ins and outs of the franchise, every little thing that's come from it, to see something like that, it shows that like someone making this has a high level of knowledge of the Gundam franchise to throw a reference in like that. Diving into the negatives now though, and I want to reference again that this is a promotional video essentially for Gunpla, the Gundam Breaker franchise, and I guess to some degree Gundam Build as well, I don't know. Anything Gunpla based, this is kind of a promotional video for that. So keeping that in mind, a lot of these negatives I'm going to talk about, I understand that maybe they weren't the top priority to get right within something like this, but on a story and character level, this is very nothingy. They kind of did the bare minimum to try and craft something that is narratively competent. The characters aren't really compelling at all. The story is pretty basic. And also an issue that really presented itself to me was the nature of the setting of this, where it's kind of a digital thing and characters kind of thrown in their Gunpla to fight against one another. And because of that, there is a severe lack of consequences to anything, a severe lack of stakes when your characters are fighting. The villain doesn't really feel threatening because, again, it's all in a digital world. So the worst thing that could possibly happen to them is their data of their Gunpla erased. And, to the characters, maybe that's a big consequence, but to an audience member who's used to major consequences and potentially people dying and such in the Gundam franchise, to come to something like this, which I get is not intended to be something like that, for someone who's maybe, you know, trying to connect with the characters a little bit or trying to fear for the characters in some way, it's very hard to, when the worst thing that can happen is that they lose the data on their custom built Gundam kit. It is also only 50 minutes in total, which includes credits, so it's really not that long a thing. So I guess at the end of the day, there's not a lot of room for true character building or a true sense of stakes or anything like that. But even still, it's a negative with the thing. It shows that it's not the most amazing thing you're ever going to watch. At the end of the day, it's kind of a fun watch, but it's also kind of hollow as well. I gotta say though, a lot of my flaws and problems with this are kind of wiped away a little bit in my mind when you get to the ending of this, the final scene, which for those that haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil it, it's so awesome. I think anyone that is a Gundam fan, even on like a more surface level, it's something that they're going to appreciate and really, really enjoy. Personally, I loved seeing it. Like I said, it kind of wiped away a lot of problems that I may have had with this. It's just an awesome scene, and I'm really hoping that the Gundam fan base like actually starts to speak up about this specific moment, considering that Battlogue has been brought to the forefront of fans' minds, considering that it's now back on the Gundam Info channel. So then Bandai Sunrise will take that into account and do something that we as fans have wanted for a while. I hope it happens. It probably won't, but who knows? You know, maybe some people will start to talk about this more. The higher ups will kind of get wind of that and start to, you know, have those discussions about it. Like I said, if you've seen Battlogue, you probably know what I'm talking about when I talk about the ending scene. But if you haven't, go ahead and watch Battlogue right now, or at the very least just skip to the end, and then you can find out. I'm sure you'll enjoy it a lot. But overall, I think Gundam Breaker Battlogue achieves what it sets out to do. It's fun to watch, it's visually far better than it probably should be. Animation, action sequences, all that kind of stuff, all absolutely fantastic. When it comes down to a story and character level, it's pretty hollow. It does the basic bare minimum to set up something, something that could be deemed as a competent narrative story. But at the end of the day, it is there to sell the Gundam Breaker franchise. It is there to sell these specific new Gunpla kits and just Gunpla kits in general. And in that regard, I think if I was, you know, new to the Gundam franchise and looking at this, I would definitely want to pick up Gunpla. I would definitely want to get into that hobby. As someone who is already into it, it makes me want to get into it just a little bit more. So it pretty much achieves its job, but it's not the greatest thing you're ever going to watch either. So with all that in mind, I'm going to give Gundam Breaker Battlogue a C. Before I get out of here though, please do leave a like on this video and subscribe if you're a fan of Mecha anime content and want to see plenty more videos like this in the future. Stay tuned because I'm going to have more Gundam Breaker videos coming in the future. Of course, Gundam Breaker 4 releasing in about a couple of weeks time. I'm going to have plenty of videos relating to that, and like I said, I'm going to have some videos beforehand. Not going to say what they are here, but if you guys are subscribed, then you will know when those videos go up. Thank you once again for tuning into Mecha Chat today. I'll see you guys next time.